Imagine a year so long that it defied the very concept of time, a year that stretched across the seasons, confusing even the most seasoned Roman citizens. This isn't fiction. This is 46 BC, the longest year in human history, a year so long that it had to be extended by a full 3 months to fix the mess that was the Roman calendar. Buckle up, because we're about to dive into the story of how Julius Caesar took on time itself. To understand why 46 BC became the longest year, we need to go back and take a look at the Roman calendar before Caesar decided to reform it. The Roman Republic had been using a lunar calendar that was, to put it mildly, a complete disaster. The calendar was supposed to be based on the cycles of the moon, but it was riddled with inconsistencies, adjustments, and arbitrary additions that made it almost impossible to keep track of time accurately. Originally, the Roman calendar had 10 months, starting with March and ending with December, which is why the months of September through December are named after the numbers 7 through 10. But then 2 more months, January and February, were added to align the calendar more closely with the solar year. Even with these additions, the calendar was still off by several days each year, and the Roman officials who were supposed to keep it on track often failed to do so. This led to a system where the calendar could be manipulated for political purposes, like extending or shortening a magistrate's term in office. Imagine having the power to literally add days to your term in office. That's exactly what was happening in Rome. By the time Julius Caesar rose to power, the calendar was nearly 3 months out of sync with the seasons. Winter festivals were being celebrated in what should have been spring, and the harvest season didn't match up with the time of year when crops were actually ready. Julius Caesar, the man who would later reform time itself, wasn't just any Roman leader. By 46 BC, he was at the height of his power, having emerged victorious from a brutal civil war. His victory didn't just grant him control of Rome, it gave him the authority to make sweeping changes to the Republic, and one of his top priorities was fixing the broken calendar. Caesar was a man who understood the importance of time and order. As a general, he had relied on precise timing to win battles, and as a leader, he knew that the chaotic Roman calendar was more than just an inconvenience. It was a symbol of Rome's disarray. The Republic needed to be put back in order, and that included getting the calendar back on track. So, Caesar gathered the best minds of the day, including Sosigenes of Alexandria, a renowned astronomer and mathematician. Together, they devised a plan to reform the calendar, one that would align it with the solar year and eliminate the need for constant adjustments. But first, they had to correct the 3-month discrepancy that had built up over years of neglect. Sosigenes proposed a radical solution. Rome would abandon the lunar calendar and adopt a solar calendar, similar to the one used in Egypt. This new Julian calendar would have 365 days, with a leap year every 4 years to account for the extra quarter day in the Earth's orbit around the Sun. But implementing this new calendar wasn't going to be easy. The first step was to realign the calendar with the seasons. To do this, Caesar decreed that the year 46 BC would need to be extended by a full 90 days. 3 extra months were inserted into the calendar, resulting in a year that had a total of 445 days, the longest year in recorded history. Imagine living through that, 3 extra months tacked onto what was already a chaotic time in Roman history. Roman citizens must have been baffled. Festivals that were supposed to happen in the spring were suddenly taking place in what felt like summer. Soldiers who thought they were close to finishing their terms of service were told they had to endure an extra 3 months. The year became known as the Annus Confusionis, or the Year of Confusion. And confused they were. But despite the temporary chaos, the change was necessary to bring Rome's timekeeping into the modern age. Once the Year of Confusion was over, the Julian calendar was in full effect. It brought order to the chaotic timekeeping that had plagued Rome for centuries. Not only did it synchronize the calendar with the seasons, but it also introduced the concept of a leap year, which kept the calendar accurate for centuries to come. The Julian calendar wasn't just a Roman innovation, it became the standard across much of Europe and the Mediterranean. It was so effective that it remained in use for over 1,600 years until it was refined by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582, giving us the Gregorian calendar we use today. But even with the Gregorian adjustments, Caesar's calendar was a monumental step forward in timekeeping. So, the next time you glance at your calendar, remember that it's Julius Caesar's legacy that allows us to keep time so precisely. His reforms didn't just stabilize the Roman Republic, they set the rhythm of time for the Western world. Julius Caesar's legacy is vast, from his military conquests to his political reforms, but the impact of his calendar reform is one of the most enduring. The year 46 BC, with its 445 days, marked a turning point in how humanity measures time, a testament to Caesar's vision and the importance of order in a civilization as grand as Rome. Caesar's assassination in 44 BC may have cut his life short, but his reforms outlived him by millennia. The Julian calendar, born out of a chaotic year, became a cornerstone of Western civilization. And while 46 BC may have been the longest year in history, it was a necessary sacrifice to bring order to the world. The longest year in history wasn't just a quirk of timekeeping, it was a symbol of transformation. It was the year Rome transitioned from a chaotic past to a future where time was measured with precision. Julius Caesar's decision to reform the calendar was one of the many ways he reshaped the Roman world, and its impact is still felt today. 46 BC was a year like no other, and it set the stage for centuries of progress. So the next time you check your calendar, remember that you have Julius Caesar to thank for the order in our days. If you found this deep dive into Roman history fascinating, be sure to subscribe for more epic stories that shaped our world. And leave a comment. What would you do if you lived through a 445-day year?